It is the year 2050, and civilization has advanced significantly because of the invention of the neural linker that connects humans to the internet directly and allows them to exist both in the real and the virtual worlds. Even in this technologically advanced world, there are people who are bullied, and Haru is a chubby little high school student who is the favorite target of the school bullies. The bullies treat him like their servant, forcing him to buy snacks for them using his own pocket money, and they make sure that they only interact with him outside the range of the security cameras. Haru has only a few friends and a low self-esteem, which is obvious because he looks more like a football than a human. He is not good at sports and he sucks at studies, and the only thing he is good at is virtual reality games, but even there, his avatar is a little pig because that is what the game thinks he looks like. Despite being unremarkable looking even in the game, Haru has a crush on a fellow gamer Yuki, who is also the vice president of the student council. He climbs up 100 stairs just to get a glimpse of her goth butterfly avatar, but the moment she turns towards him, he freaks out and rolls down the stairs. Disappointed by his lack of courage to even approach her, Haru goes to the only place where he finds any comfort, a tower where he plays squash by himself. He picks up the racket and hits the ball ahead, and it is at this moment that he completely changes from being a loser to a champ. He keeps thinking about how no one can match him in this world and keeps smashing the ball till he reaches a new high score, beating his previous record. Haru is pleased by this because this is the only thing he is proud of. But then suddenly, his childhood best friend Chiyu arrives there, and she is shocked that he broke his record again. She tells him to touch grass, but he says that he doesn't want her here, so she logs out. But just as he is about to go for another round, he is forcefully logged out of the game because Chiyu found he was hiding in the washroom and hit him on the head. Haru first gets angry because she disturbed his game, but then he panics because she came to the boys' washroom. Anyway, they go outside where Chiyu tells Haru that she knows that he is being bullied by the thugs in his class. She asks him to stand up for himself, but Haru is too much of a wimp to do that. And when Chiyu suggests that they take help from their other friend, he snaps because he doesn't want that. Chiyu then offers him some sandwiches she made for him because she knows the bully made him use his lunch money for them, but Haru tells her that he doesn't want it. When she insists, this moron pushes the basket away, spilling the sandwiches on the ground. Chiyu is completely devastated, and Haru, the beta wimp, can't even face her. He runs away, calling himself a coward because he can't say sorry, but obviously that is not going to help anyone. With no idea what else to do, he ends up in the library and tries to distract himself by logging into the game, hoping to feel better there. However, when he sees someone has beaten his high score, something inside him breaks and he starts crying quietly, thinking there's really nothing left for him now. Right then, Yuki appears beside him and casually asks if he was the one who got the initial high score. She looks at him and asks if he wants to get faster, and before he can even answer, she tells him to come to the lounge the next day. The next day, Haru goes to the lounge, feeling nervous and unsure. A group of older students surrounds him, and their presence makes him freeze up. Just when he starts to panic, Yuki calls him over and saves him from the awkwardness. She then pulls out a cable to connect their Neuralink devices. But Haru freaks out as cabling is their world's equivalent of holding hands in public, and he has only seen couples do this before. Yuki doesn't care about that though, and she cables with him. Haru asks if this is some elaborate prank, but she tells him that it is not and then transfers an app to him, saying that it will change his reality. Haru looks at the app called Brain Burst and doesn't really get what she means, but he decides to trust her. He accepts the app and installs it, and within a few seconds a message appears on his screen, welcoming him to the accelerated world. Just then, Haru's bullies show up there and their leader demands to know where their lunch is. Haru is afraid of them, but Yuki just smirks and asks if he is the shit-brained red monkey who is too poor to buy his own lunch that Haru was talking about. The bully gets really furious on hearing this and raises his fist to punch Haru. Just then Yuki tells Haru to say "burst link" after her, and as he does that right before the hit, the world completely freezes around him. Time stops moving, and Haru looks at himself to see that he has turned into his small pig avatar. Yuki is also there in this frozen world in her goth butterfly appearance, and she tells the confused Haru that they are now inside the accelerated world because of the Brain Burst program. She tells him that in this world, their brains are working 1,000 times faster than the real world, and while they may feel like time is frozen, it is moving really slowly, with 1 second in the real world being equal to 16 full minutes in this one. She then tells Haru that this world is actually created through the data flowing through the cameras all over the area, which is intercepted by their neural linkers. Yuki tells Haru he can now move incredibly fast in this world, but she also tells him not to dodge the bully's punch when time resumes. She says this is their one chance to catch the bully on camera and get him in trouble, because until now, he has always stayed out of sight of the cameras. Haru is nervous, but he agrees to the plan, and then Yuki tells him to jump toward her when he gets punched. With that, they enter their bodies and yell the keyword burst over to end the burst link. Time starts again, and Haru finds the bully's fist speeding towards him. The force sends him flying backward, and he crashes into Yuki, knocking her over. She falls to the ground, blood running down her head. She pretends to be unconscious to make things appear worse. People start yelling because of that, and the security guards rush over to arrest the bully. As the crowd starts to calm down, Yuki leans on Haru, telling him that he did a good job, and then starts drawing circles on his fat thighs in an attempt to flirt aggressively with him. Later that day, Haru gets ready to go home, but before he leaves, Yuki warns him not to log into the global network without giving him a reason. Well, Haru is a simp for her, so he obeys and logs out of the global net at the school gate. He is surprised to see Chiyu waiting for him there, like this idiot didn't just slap away the food she made for him. She walks him home, and then their last friend Taku, who is also Chiyu's boyfriend, joins them. The three of them chat a little about random things when suddenly Taku brings up the lunchbox Chiyu made for Haru. The first thing that comes to Haru's mind on hearing this is that Taku told her to make the lunchbox for him because they both pitied a loser like him. Haru can't take it anymore, and he suddenly runs away, thinking that even his best friends think that he is pitiful. When he gets home, he is still feeling depressed, and he goes to sleep with his negative thoughts appearing again in his dreams. The next morning, he asks his mom for lunch money. She tells him to get online so she can transfer the money directly, and he logs in to the global net, going against Yuki's advice. However, he regrets it just as he steps outside the building. The burst link activates all on its own, and Haru is pulled into the accelerated world again. But this time, the world around him looks totally different. It is like a post-apocalyptic battlefield, and as Haru looks around, he finds that his body has changed. He is no longer a pig. Instead, now he has a new shiny, smooth metallic form. He sees a system window pop up in front of him, telling him the name of his avatar, which is called Silver Crow. He starts to panic, completely confused by what's happening. But before he can even figure anything out, another burst linker appears in the distance, revving his bike. The guy wearing a skull-shaped helmet and riding a huge motorcycle is called Ash Roller, and he is Haru's opponent. Ash Roller grins and says he is lucky to find a clueless noob, and then without giving Haru a chance to react, he speeds toward him. At school, Haru tells Yuki about Ash Roller, the biker who whooped his ass. Yuki laughs and says he deserves it for not listening to her warning about logging into the global net. Haru sulks, thinking that after all the talk about being 1,000 times faster, Brain Burst turned out to be a game. Yuki explains that Brain Burst is not just a VR game, it is actually much more. She explains that the players need burst points to accelerate in real life, and the only way they can get them is to fight in the game. Haru is confused, so Yuki shows him how to use the burst avatar and opens the option menu. She tells him to challenge her to a duel, promising that she will let the match end in a draw. As soon as he clicks the option, his avatar changes from a pig to Silver Crow again. Yuki starts flirting with him aggressively yet again, but Haru quickly says he doesn't like having such a weak avatar. Yuki explains that Brain Burst chooses avatars based on what players are afraid of, and it must have picked something from his horrible dreams last night. Haru asks if that is true for her too, and Yuki admits that she changed her avatar because she was ashamed of her original one. Then she tells him about burst points and how they work in the real world. Haru tells her that he lost 10 points when he lost the duel to Ash Roller, and Yuki warns him that if his points reach 0, he will lose access to Brain Burst forever, and he cannot reinstall it. Haru panics, but Yuki tells him that even if he loses Brain Burst, he will not be bullied again. She asks him what he wants to do, and he replies that he wants to fight and be useful to her because she has done so much for him already. Yuki tells him he is just a candle and she is the sun, and he isn't even worthy to talk to her. Still, she took pity on him and helped him, which is why he wants him to live up to her expectations. Yuki clearly hints that she likes him, and it is not just out of pity. But Haru, being dumber than a set of mismatched Lego blocks, and also because he is a guy, doesn't get the hint. He says he can't take her hand because they're not equals, and he is going to serve her instead. They log out with that, and a girl comes up to Yuki and asks about her relationship with Haru. Yuki says she confessed her feelings to Haru, but he rejected her. The girl freaks out on hearing this, but the one who panics the most is Haru. After that, they head outside and Yuki tells Haru to accelerate once he leaves the school and find Ash Roller first this time so that he can defeat him. Haru steps out of school and immediately uses the burst mode to enter the accelerated world. He challenges Ash Roller to a duel and a compass points out his location. Haru then starts to think about how the training he got from Yuki. She told him to check his skills and he found that he only has melee attacks and one finishing move. He was not impressed by that, but Yuki told him that he has potential and he would soon discover it. Just then, Haru suddenly spots Ash Roller from a distance and quickly launches a surprise attack, dealing a huge amount of damage. After that, he runs upstairs, believing that the biker won't be able to follow him, and this will give him an advantage, but it doesn't work out the way he planned. Turns out Ash Roller leveled up after winning against Haru this morning, and he used the skill point to learn how to climb walls. He quickly climbs up the building where Haru is, causing rubble to hit Haru, and even that drains his HP. Haru starts to panic because running is the only thing he can do now. He remembers what Yuki told him about the element chart and how his metal body is strong against fire, poison, and many other types of attacks, but it is weak against impact damage, and that happens to be exactly what Ash Roller's attacks do. Haru gets pushed back and tries to hit Ash Roller with a headbutt, but he just runs him over with his bike. Haru almost feels like giving up, but then he notices Yuki watching him. Seeing her awakens the simp in him, and he gets the strength to keep fighting for her sake. He thinks carefully about how he can win and realizes that the bike has a weakness. When the bike comes close again, Haru grabs onto the back of it and holds on tight. Ash Roller believes Haru can't do anything while being dragged, so he doesn't worry. Haru takes some damage while being dragged around, but at the last moment, he lifts the rear wheel of the bike. Since only the rear wheel is connected to the engine, the bike stops immediately, and Ash Roller becomes powerless. The audience watching the fight is impressed by what Haru just did, and some even put him on their watch list like he is some up-and-coming YouTuber. Meanwhile, Haru taunts Ash Roller, forcing him to abandon his bike and attack him, and he uses that chance to deliver a powerful headbutt. The attack knocks Ash Roller out cold, and Haru wins the fight. After the battle, he logs out of the game, and Yuki congratulates him on his first win. She suggests they should celebrate somewhere, but before they can leave, Chiyu shows up, and she is angry at Yuki. She has learned that a bully hit Haru because of Yuki's actions, and she confronts her about it. However, Yuki doesn't plan to back down either, and Haru feels stuck and caught in the middle between the two girls, unsure of what to do next. The two girls suddenly start fighting over Haru. Chiyu insists that she is his closest friend and knows him the best, but Yuki argues back that she already confessed her feelings to him, so they are closer, and that they are even going on a date right now. Chiyu is too stunned by this and doesn't know what to say, and then Yuki quickly drags Haru away from her. As they walk, Haru asks Yuki why she is picking a fight with Chiyu like this. Yuki says she just wants to confirm something important, and then they head to a nearby restaurant to talk more calmly. Yuki tells Haru about the game's world. She explains that most players are below level 4, and only a few bigger players are around level 8. These big shots run huge groups but aren't often seen by normal players. Above them are the top 6 players, known as the 6 Kings of Pure Color, and all of them are at level 9. She explains that because of them, the accelerated world is divided into 6 kingdoms, but they are still not the highest level. She says that the top level in the game is level 10. To get to level 10, a player must win 5 continuous matches against other level 9 players without losing even once. If they lose a single match, their brain burst is uninstalled. Yuki then shares more secret details, telling Haru that the game's developer is unknown, and only people who have worn a neural link device since birth can play the game. Since the neural linker was invented 15 years ago, that means only kids under 15 can join. She says that the 6 kings reached level 9 together a few years ago, and when they learned about level 10, they agreed not to fight each other but rule the world together. However, this is where the twist comes. Yuki says that originally, there used to be 7 kings, not 6. The last one was the Black King, and that was none other than Yuki herself. She was not satisfied with the peaceful solution of the other kings and tried to convince them to fight for the top spot. The others tried to stop her peacefully, but she ended up killing the Red King during the conflict. The other kings turned against her, and they attacked her together. Although she fought hard, she couldn't win, and was forced to log out once the timer hit 0. Since then, she has been on the run, hunted by the others, and is known as the biggest traitor in the game. But she just wanted to reach level 10 because then she could meet the game's creator and discover the truth behind Brain Burst. Haru listens to her story carefully and agrees with her, saying that no matter what kind of game it is, it needs to be cleared rather than wasting time maintaining peace. He tells Yuki that she didn't do anything wrong and promises to help her reach that goal. Yuki thanks him and says she didn't make a mistake choosing him as her partner. But Haru gets shy and asks her to get to business because there must be some reason she chose him. Yuki explains that she has been on the run from the other kings for 2 years, and during this time, she has never connected to the global network. But she has to use the school's network sometimes. About 2 months ago, someone challenged her to a duel through the school network. She used her school avatar, which was not suited for combat, with her game name Black Lotus, which was the same from the time when she was the Black King. This made the attacker realize her true identity, and that is the worst thing that can happen to a burst linker. The attacker escaped before she could catch them, and at first, she thought that they would attack her in real life, but nothing happened. However, the challenger kept attacking her again and again in the game to steal her burst points, and she couldn't fight back. She feared that if she used her real avatar in these fights and wins, the attacker would sell her information to the other kings. She realized that she needs to find out who the real identity of the attacker is so she can call a truce and stop the attacks. Haru suggests her to try challenging the attacker during the school assembly because no one can refuse challenges there, and that will force the attacker to reveal themselves. Yuki says she thought about that idea for a long time and tried it, but couldn't find the attacker because he seems to be able to block challenges. That should be impossible normally, so Yuki thinks the attacker might be a hacker or someone connected to the game's developers. That is why she needs Haru's help to find him. She tells him the attacker's game avatar is called Cyan Pike and is at level 4. She thinks the attacker is desperate for burst points based on how he attacks her. Yuki adds that she used the cursor that shows the enemy's real-world location as soon as the duel begins, and checked all the students in the direction. After plotting the data from various duels, she concluded that Chiyu was the only one common in all the cases, and she suspects her the most. When Yuki tells Haru this, he panics and says it is impossible because Chiyu is bad at games and doesn't target people like that. Yuki argues that she saw hostility from Chiyu, and Haru says it was because of jealousy. Yuki asks why would she be jealous if someone got close to Haru since she already has a boyfriend. Haru dodges the question and promises he will find out the truth. He goes straight to Chiyu's house, who is angry at him, but turns shy when he asks her to cable with her. She agrees to do so, although a bit coyly, and then finds a really short cable for them to use. She then lies down on the bed like she is totally inviting Haru to put his hands on her, and he climbs on top as he cables with her. Haru then apologizes to her for the sandwich incident while trying to find brain burst files on her neurolinker. Chiyu gets candid and lashes out at him, saying that he has changed a lot since starting high school. She complains that he doesn't hang out with her anymore and doesn't even value her attempts to help him. She starts crying, and Haru loses focus for a moment. They talk about how they promised to stay friends forever when they were kids, but Haru says things have changed since then. Now that they're older, he feels jealous seeing Chiyu and Yuki getting along so well while he feels like a loser. Chiyu insists it is not like that and almost admits that she would have become his girlfriend if he had confessed to her before Taku. She tells him they will still remain friends and gives him a hug. Despite all this melodrama, Haru's loyalty to Yuki is greater than his friendship to Chiyu, and he keeps searching her system but can't find anything suspicious until suddenly, the system lags. When the lag clears, he discovers a hidden backdoor program inside the files. Haru tries digging deeper into the files, but quickly realizes that whoever set up the backdoor must be watching him closely. Feeling unsafe, he decides to cancel the search before he gets caught. The next day, Haru almost freaks out when Yuki calls him while he is on his way to school. She quickly apologizes for making him doubt his best friend, and Haru tells her that he linked cables with Chiyu in her room. Yuki gets jealous at the news and walks away quickly, leaving Haru behind in the dust, and he doesn't even realize what just happened. Later, 2 girls from the school magazine approach Haru and ask if he is Yuki's boyfriend. He gets flustered and quickly says no. But when they hear that Yuki got jealous when he talked about Chiyu, they tell him that Yuki is definitely into him. Haru can't believe it and throws a tantrum alone in the school bathroom, thinking that maybe Yuki is just toying with him. Later, as he is heading home, He finds Yuki waiting for him at the school gate. He tells her that he found Chiyu's connection to Cyan Pike through the cable and discovered the virus and backdoor he has been using to hide his real location. Yuki finds it hard to believe, but Haru says she is free not to trust him if she wants. His cold attitude worries her, and she apologizes once more, admitting she was jealous of Chiyu this morning. However, Haru doesn't listen because in his mind, he thinks Yuki hates herself for being so perfect. He believes that is why she is being nice to someone like him. His words hurt Yuki deeply, and she slaps him, calling him baka, which is an obvious sign of love for tsunderes, but Haru is too stupid to figure that out. Just then, a speeding car comes rushing toward them. Yuki quickly activates Burst Link to freeze time, and Haru wonders if the attacker is Cyan Pike. He climbs onto the car and sees the school bully whom they got arrested behind the wheel. Yuki says they should have seen this coming because someone as stupid as the bully would obviously want revenge more than anything else. She asks Haru how he plans to escape the danger in the real world, and then tells him she has a powerful, ultimate move in Brain Burst which can save them, but it will consume 99% of her burst points. Haru immediately says he will do it instead because he is supposed to be her servant. Yuki stops him, saying that he can't do it because one needs to be level 9 first to pull it off. She then suddenly confesses to Haru that she loves him, and he was the first person to make her feel this way. Haru asks why she would fall for him, calling himself a loser. Yuki smiles and says that when she logged into the game, she saw his high score and was in awe of his score. She had to use acceleration to beat him, even though she had dedicated her life to becoming strong and fast. Then she saw him in the real world, looking cute and defenseless, and the huge difference between his real-world self and his game self eventually made her fall in love. She says that she only realized it when she got jealous of Chiyu and hopes that she could have confessed to him sooner. Then she tells Haru that they will meet again someday and kisses him. Haru starts to cry and says he doesn't want her to sacrifice herself, but Yuki quickly jumps into her own body and activates full physical burst mode that allows her to move even in frozen time. She pushes Haru out of danger just before the car crashes and gets hit instead. When Haru wakes up, he is devastated to see Yuki seriously injured. Soon the medics arrive and rush her to the hospital. Haru waits outside, praying nervously during her operation. After what feels like forever, the doctor finally comes out and says the operation was successful, but Yuki is still in critical condition and has to stay stable for at least 12 hours before they can be sure of her survival. While waiting, Haru suddenly notices that Yuki's Neuralink is still connected to the hospital network. He switches to burst mode and realizes she is still available to be challenged in the game, and if no one else will stoop so low, there is always Cyan Pike. If he attacks her now, she'll lose all her points and be finished for good. Haru makes the decision to stay awake all night and protect her. He stays up all night, and the next morning, people start coming to the hospital, and Taku shows up too. Haru thinks Taku is there just to see Yuki, but then wonders why he is alone and why Chiyu isn't with him. Suddenly, he gets an idea and realizes that Taku is actually Cyan Pike. He must have cabled with Chiyu and planted the virus to use her location as a decoy to attack Yuki. Taku smirks when he finds out Haru knows his truth now, and both of them activate their burst links at the same time. Without hesitation, Haru immediately challenges Taku to a duel, hoping to defeat him before he can challenge Yuki. Soon, Haru and Taku find themselves in a post-apocalyptic world, and Haru is shocked by how strong Taku's avatar, Cyan Pike, looks. Taku smirks and says he didn't expect Haru to be a burst linker at all. He admits he lost control of his rage after learning that he cabled with Chiyu and asks how he could try to NTR his best friend. Haru, angry, fires back, saying Taku put a virus in the neurolinker to spy on Chiyu. Taku shrugs it off and says he is angry at Chiyu for letting Haru get so close to her as well. He says he thought she was smart for choosing him, but now he realizes she still cares about Haru, the loser. Haru lashes back, telling Taku that he is not good enough himself and that he uses his acceleration power to get good grades and even win in kendo tournaments. Taku just laughs and says that this is his power. Haru reminds him that Taku has never beaten him in any game, so Taku decides to prove him wrong right now. He dashes ahead at full speed, but Haru thinks he is slower than Ash Roller. Haru tries to run away, but Taku shoots his spear arm at him, severely injuring him. Haru quickly runs away and hides inside an elevator, and avoids getting hit any further. He makes it to the rooftop, where he finds a vast audience watching him. He feels like he understands Taku's attack patterns now and thinks he can fight back now. Taku arrives soon after, and Haru dashes towards him, using his speed to dodge the attacks and land some hits, but it is not enough to do serious damage. He keeps pounding Taku nevertheless, telling him he is not good enough for Chiyu. Taku just smirks and suddenly unleashes a hidden close-range blast move. Haru is badly hurt by that, and Taku thanks him for attacking him and letting him fill his special attack gauge first. He tells Haru to use his own special attack now because his gauge is full. Haru struggles to get up, still thinking he can still fight. But then suddenly, his leg breaks from the damage, and panic sets in because he can't move. Taku laughs and tells Haru that this is where he should always be, kneeling in front of him. He attacks again, unleashing a powerful special move called Gravity Spike that sends Haru crashing down a building and deals massive damage to him. Even though he is badly hurt, Haru still has some health left, but Taku thinks he'll die on his own. He then turns to the others and tells them he still has value as a burst linker, so they should give him another chance. Meanwhile, Haru, lying on the ground, cries because he can't afford to lose, but he has no way to win. Just then, he sees Yuki resting right in front of him, and he summons all his strength to crawl toward her. Haru starts whining and complaining to her about how weak he feels, but then he hugs Yuki and hears her heartbeat. That reminds him of her words that strength doesn't always mean what he thinks it does. She had told him to be free and do what he does best, and those words suddenly awaken something inside him. Suddenly, Haru feels a sharp ache all over his body as his back seems to break and wings sprout from him. He is shocked and still in pain, struggling to control his new wings, but once he realizes that he has unlocked a new power, he dashes upward without any hesitation. Now flying high in the sky, Haru looks out and sees the world stretching infinitely beneath him. But then, he suddenly falls, and everyone watching him is shocked, because Haru's Silver Crow is the first flying avatar in the accelerated world. Taku immediately tries to attack him again, but Haru quickly uses his special attack, dashing forward at full speed. He dodges Taku's spike and hits him hard, carrying him up into the sky. Taku begs Haru not to drop him, warning that if he falls, he will lose all his burst points and get kicked out of the game. Haru tells him to think about what he did to Yuki and then think if he is worthy of mercy. Realizing that he was a terrible bastard all along, Taku decides to give up and lets go of Haru's hand to fall down. However, Haru stops him, saying that he should accept losing here and come over to his side and under Yuki's wings. Taku asks how he can trust him now, but Haru says they can start over. Haru brings Taku back down to the roof, and just then, the elevator opens and Yuki steps out. Haru rushes to her and hugs her tightly, saying he always believed she would make it through. She thanks him for saving her, then looks at his wings and smiles, saying she was right about him being the guy who will change the world. Yuki then turns to Taku and tells him she should have fought him when he challenged her because that would have been a gamer-like thing to do. With that, she unlocks some commands and transforms into her original form called Black Lotus. Everyone watching is stunned at this, and they immediately contact their superiors because they have found the traitor the Six Kings are looking for. Yuki then asks Haru to take her into the sky, and as they fly, she calls out to the audience. She declares that Black Lotus, the one who rebelled against the other Six Kings, is challenging them once again, and this time, she will defeat them and rise to become the first level 10 player. A few days later, Haru visits Yuki in the hospital, who has recovered a bit. They talk about the backdoor virus, and Haru tells her it is useless now because of a recent server update, and the person who gave Burst Link and the backdoor virus has lost all his points for cheating. Yuki suspects the Yellow Squad is behind it since they specialize in sneak attacks, but she says it doesn't matter because they will face any enemy when they come. A couple of days later, during the school's sports period, Taku heads over to meet Chiyu, but just as he reaches the school gate, someone activates Burst Link and challenges him. Two armored knight avatars appear and block his path, and they tell him that if he wants to be free from the Blue Squadron's watch, he needs to defeat them in battle. Taku tries to put up a fight, but he gets completely overwhelmed. They beat him down and mockingly demand that he beg for forgiveness. However, before it goes any further, their boss, a high-ranking member of the Blue Squad, arrives on the scene. Taku, beaten and frustrated, asks for another chance to redeem himself and surprisingly, the boss gives him one. Taku bows in gratitude, and as the duel ends, time resumes. Meanwhile, Chiyu finishes her run on the track and notices Haru standing quietly on the sidelines. She doesn't say a word to him and just gives him a cold glance before running away. On the other side, Yuki remains in the hospital where she is being assisted by a member of the student council. When Haru arrives for a visit, she quickly sends the helper away so they can talk privately. After some small talk, Haru tells her that he visited Chiyu along with Taku, and they told her the full truth about Burst Link and the backdoor virus. Obviously, Chiyu got incredibly mad and she hasn't spoken to either of them since. However, the good news is that Taku swore to atone for his actions, and for starters he is teaming up with Haru to take him to level 2. Not long after, Haru and Taku begin fighting as a team. They take on a team of 2 random players and drag the fight out strategically to win through a timeout. The losing side is satisfied by this because they got to fight the first flying avatar, and they wish Haru all the best for his future. With the victory, Haru earns enough burst points to level up. He is really excited and decides to level up on the spot. Taku immediately shouts for him to stop, but it is too late as Haru has already pressed the button level up. Most of his points are consumed instantly when he levels up, and he only has 8 burst points remaining. Taku panics, realizing the risk of being attacked by another player now, and quickly forces both of them to log out. Later, Taku sincerely apologizes to Haru, saying that it was his fault for not warning him earlier about what could happen after leveling up with so few burst points. Haru, however, blames himself and says he should have read the instructions more carefully. Taku, still feeling responsible, offers to lend Haru some of his spare points through a cable connection. Haru immediately refuses because accepting points that way would mean attacking Taku while he is defenseless, which feels wrong. Taku urges him not to be an idiot because there's no time for pride or hesitation, but Haru remains conflicted. Taku suddenly appears hurt, asking Haru if he doesn't want a cable with him because he doesn't trust him. Haru tells him it is not like that, and he just wants to fight honorably since he is a true gamer. Seeing that Haru won't budge, Taku accepts his feelings and doesn't push further. He decides to go home with that, but as he passes by the entrance, he notices 3 pairs of old slippers that remind him of their childhood. Just then, Haru receives a call from Chiyu, who has summoned both of them to her place. She even makes them buy snacks for her on the way, telling them that it is the only way they can apologize to her. When they arrive, Chiyu eats all the ice cream at once and immediately goes into a rant. She scolds them for everything they've done, but then adds that she wants to end the hostility quickly. She asks them about the brain burst program, and Taku says it is easier to just show her. He tells her to throw some books at them to demonstrate, and Chiyu thinks it is a good way to vent out her frustration. She chucks a stack of books in his direction, and Taku activates Burst Link each time, using his boosted speed and judgment time to dodge all of them. After that, they sit down and finish the snacks together. While casually reading the menu, Taku comes across the term bouncer, and realizes there might be someone out there who can help Haru. The next day, Haru visits Yuki in the hospital and hides the fact that he is already leveled up. She tells him she'll be discharged soon, and when that happens, they'll start creating their own territory in the accelerated world. Later, Haru and Taku head out together in search of the bouncer. Taku explains that the bouncer is a really skilled player who teams up with low-point users, helping them earn enough wins to return to normal. Haru thinks that the bouncer must be someone really powerful, but it turns out the bouncer is only level 1. Still, they manage to keep others safe somehow, and to hire them, there are only 2 conditions. First, a player must not be above level 2, and second, they have to reveal their real-world identity. Following the instructions from the bouncer, Haru goes alone to a quiet restaurant. He finds his designated seat and notices a bag with a tablet on it. Following the prompts, he enters his name, and then the device suddenly takes a photo of him. He then gets a message that the bouncer accepts his job and tells him to meet at the same spot in 10 minutes. Feeling nervous, Haru excuses himself and heads to the restroom. On the way, he bumps into a girl, and as he awkwardly tries to help her pick up her things, he notices his photo on her tablet. His eyes widen as he realizes that she is the bouncer. The girl tries to play it off at first, pretending she doesn't know what he is talking about, but eventually, she gives in and admits it. They sit down together, and she asks him to cable so they can talk privately without being overheard. On the other side, Yuki sends a message to Taku, calling him to meet her, and the moment he arrives in her room, she activates Burst Link. She challenges Taku to a duel, and when he asks if they can talk first, she reminds him that in the accelerated world, you can't refuse a challenge. Meanwhile, the bouncer looks at Haru and asks if he bumped into her on purpose to reveal her identity, or if he was just clumsy, and Haru says he was clumsy, which she believes. She then asks why he has low points even though he has a 70% win rate, and Haru is shocked. He asks how she found that out, and she says it is because he is really famous as the first flying avatar. She says he seems stupid but trustworthy, and then she introduces herself as Karen. She then activates the burst link and the 2 of them find themselves inside the frozen world. Karen quickly finds 2 opponents who are level 3 and 4. But Haru panics because he thinks their level is too high. Karen explains that if the total level of the opponents is over 6, then fewer points are lost in case of a defeat, and they can earn a lot if they win. Haru is impressed by her knowledge, and when Karen challenges the opponents, she tells Haru to stay calm and confident because he can win if he enjoys the game. That is when Haru realizes she is a true gamer. The challenge begins, and the battle location is an acidic swamp. Karen, who is a water-type human avatar, goes down to the swamp's base and Haru follows her. They both sense destruction from the enemy's direction, and soon, 2 enemies appear, one made of sand and the other of metal. On the other side, Taku and Yuki begin their fight. Taku holds back because he doesn't want to fight, but Yuki tells him to fight freely because she has enough points to survive. She then says she knows he quit the kendo club and asks why he did that. Taku replies that it was his way of atoning for his sins. Yuki realizes he is trying to throw away everything he gained from Brain Burst, and she asks if that will really be enough. She tells him that Haru will be hurt, and he should think about him, which makes Taku angry. Back at the swamp, Haru and Karen are struggling against their enemies. Karen takes on the sand enemy and tells Haru to fight Nickel, who has electric powers. Haru grabs the metallic girl and tosses her into the swamp. Nickel gets angry, but then says Haru will start losing HP because the swamp is poisonous. Haru proudly says poison doesn't work on silver, and Nickel agrees, but says electricity does. He discharges a current in the water, and Haru gets shocked and quickly loses HP. But it also charges his special move bar. He flies up and does a dive attack that knocks out Nickel, but the sand guy comes in to protect her at the last moment. On the other side, Taku attacks Yuki recklessly and asks what he can do to atone besides uninstalling Brain Burst. Yuki says he is not doing it for his sins, but for himself because he is weak and wants to run away from his responsibility. Taku gets mad again, but Yuki defeats him and tells him to do what Haru wants if he wants to atone. At the swamp, the sand enemy keeps attacking and says Haru and Karen have no teamwork, which is the most important thing. Haru says trust is even more important, and he trusts Karen. Nickel gets irritated at these cringe-ass dialogues and tells the sand guy to use their combo move. Sand creates a vacuum and pulls Haru in, but he decides to run towards the vacuum instead, trying to get in a hit. But then Nickel suddenly shoots out an electric current at him. As Haru loses HP rapidly, he wonders how it is possible since there's no conductor. But Karen realizes that vacuum acts as a conductor if the electric current has a high enough voltage. Haru keeps on taking damage while Karen lectures him, but even with just 1 bar of HP left, he refuses to give up. Just then, Karen jumps in and blocks the attack, and the opponents wonder how she did it because she is made of water. She explains that pure water doesn't conduct electricity, and she is kind of too pure for this world. Haru says he is tired of science lessons and uses his ultimate move called the dive kick to defeat the enemies quickly. They return to the real world with that, and now Haru has enough points. He thanks Karen and asks if she hangs out there often so that they can meet again. But Karen says they won't because he is not going to be a burst linker anymore. Haru is confused, but Karen initiates burst link while connected to a cable, so he can't escape. She tells him to get ready to fight because she is going to take all his points. Haru doesn't move and says he trusts her because she is a good person. He talks about how he fought his best friend and let his negative emotions take over, but he won't let that happen again, and that is why he won't fight. Karen stops her attack at the last moment and says he passed the test. She explains that she was just trying to scare him because he is dumb, and Haru says she succeeded because he was really scared. Karen laughs, saying he still has a long journey ahead and they'll meet again. But for now, the elements shouldn't interfere in his story, so he doesn't need to remember her. She uses a skill to take all his memories of her, and Haru doesn't even know what is happening. When he wakes up, he is alone and wonders what he was doing, and there's only a cable in front of him, which leaves him confused. The next day, when he goes to school, Haru finds Chiyu waiting for him, and then suddenly, they see Taku wearing their school uniform. They are stunned to realize he has transferred, and Yuki has come back too. Taku runs into her after he exits the teacher's office and thanks her for showing him the correct path. He asks how she knew about him, and she says it is because she is a fellow sinner and knows exactly how it feels to be burdened by guilt. She then tells him to stop thinking about it and enjoy his life with his friends. And just then, Haru and Chiyu come there to join them.